Okay, hopefully you can see the screen right now. Let me just put that on presentation mode. So I'll be listening to a few presentations since yesterday. So maybe you're having a daunting, intimidating view of maybe perception of VUCA. So my role today is to give you the other side of the coin. Can we, maybe if you're with me, can we see opportunities in the VUCA environment, VUCA world, whatever? Can we move from this daunting picture that has been painted for us? Can we use that to our advantage? So this is my role today, and hopefully I'm going to give you a few tools and maybe some ingredients as well as a recipe for success in the VUCA world. So let's get started. So the introduction about me has been done. So you can reach me on my email number or my website. So that's okay. So hope you're ready for that, because as you have just heard from Rajiv that you have the dark web. We are seeing you. We are seeing that you're participating, you're listening to us. So let's participate in this presentation. Have your maybe notebook ready, because we are going to share some heavy stuff around here. So let's get to the maybe the history of VUCA. You have heard about the Cold War, it was invented and so on. I have a small piece of history which I wanted to share. Not about how VUCA came about, more importantly, what were done at that point in time to make up for VUCA, to fight VUCA, okay, to be able to get to the next level against VUCA. So let's go back in time to early 2000. So we were having what we call the Al-Qaeda forces in Iraq fighting against the US Army, special military. Okay, so top notch of equipment, military service and everything, like fully funded and so on, against maybe some Al-Qaeda forces. Okay, maybe just having a few guns here and there. So, but however, what happened at that point in time, Al-Qaeda created battle conditions which even the US Army's elite team, okay, struggled, because they were structured. So they means the US Army was structured. Usually it's good way, okay, you obey specific protocols and so on. They were structured in a way that was not fast enough. So while being structured, they didn't have this ability to move fast, to take quick decision. No change adaptive enough. So they could not adapt to any change. They had maybe a plan in place and they had to stick to this plan. It was not easy for them to change, to bring about changes. To succeed in this environment, which they describe, the US Army described as being volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Most likely you would have heard this new term, not so new term, since yesterday we have been speaking about it, which is VUCA. So yesterday, Anil Singh told us that he has another definition of VUCA as compared to what we have here today. He talked about value, understanding, control, and accept. By the time I'm going to finish today, I'm going to give you how we have maybe a new definition of VUCA to help us have a leadership mindset to navigate in this environment. So if you're still with me, let's see about what was the mindset change now. Okay, so we have seen the fight between the Al-Qaeda and the US Army. But what came about so that the US Army could go beyond this VUCA environment? So fortunately, the US Joint Special Operations Task Force in Iraq had the presence of mind. So here we just need to know that presence of mind is being aware, the wisdom, and most important is the humility. So it's important to be humble, to say, okay, maybe we are doing it the wrong way. We need to change. Maybe we need to learn. We need to have this humility. It's not that we know everything. To realize that they were operating with the wrong paradigm. So it can be we are operating the right, and we need to question this paradigm. And that is what needed to change. So there is need to change. We cannot continue with the same strategy and say it is failing. We need to change. They set conventions aside, the protocols, the usual way of doing things, and completely restructure themselves to better deal with the reality of Al-Qaeda VUCA tactics. I don't know if this story is 100% true, but the lessons that we have from this story are very fruitful. This is what we are going to work on today. Let's see, let's create this awareness, okay, about the VUCA what is, you're going to see what does VUCA and so on means. And then let's be humble. Let's say, okay, let's see, maybe we are doing it wrong. And what is a new paradigm that we need to adopt to be able to bring about change and make VUCA our friend? We are going to tame VUCA if you're still with me. So let's start a quick introduction about the different terms. Okay, the acronym volatility, the V of VUCA, is liable to change rapidly. The definition of volatility in this scenario is liable to change rapidly. So maybe you have seen since the beginning of the year, maybe since last year as well, exchange rate going up, but not down till now. Prices, you go to the market, supermarket this week, you go next week, there is maybe at least 1 or 2, maybe 10 items which are having price changes and it's already up, okay, for our disadvantage. But in VUCA, it may be going up or down. So it's about this liability to change rapidly. It can be freight. You have seen the disruption that we are having in our procurement supply chain with freight. There's a price of freight and so on. It is affecting our supply chain as well. Okay. But yesterday, if you listen to what Professor Kiran was saying, okay, he said that, is it still a pandemic? Yeah, we are still navigating in a pandemic. But is COVID-19 still a force majeure? Or is it become what we call the new normal? But that was a very interesting question, which we need to look into. Is it like we need to, this is a new normal, a new environment that we need to be navigating in. We need to be ready to be able to move forward in such an environment. It's no longer like a surprise. It's took us by surprise, sure, but now we need to navigate. This is a new world order. Next is uncertainty. So what is uncertainty? It's not able to accurately know, okay? So it's not accurately known or can be predicted, okay? I am used to most likely to predict, look for information and so on, try to find some trend, and then you can use this information, this knowledge available, historical information, to be able to decide on future maybe events and so on. But ability to anticipate change is becoming tougher, much more difficult, as historical information and past experience. This is what we have been using all our life, experience, historical information, to help us decide, forecast what can be expected. Nowadays, with this VUCA environment, we can't. It is uncertainty which is taking over. Now let's talk a bit about complexity. Let's introduce a Stacy matrix. Forget about all the terms in there, but let's see, we have agreement against uncertainty. We have 4 quadrants, okay, arranged differently. We are going to move diagonally. So let's start with simple, first one. It's about if you need to do decision making. So in a specific environment, you need to do decision making. So we start with simple. So the structure is clear, the discipline is required, so we know exactly. So it can be in terms of maybe 1 + 1, no big deal, it's 2. Basically, unless you are going to say, okay, we have different ways of everything. But anyway, simple mathematics is going to be 1 + 1 is equal to no big deal about that. So we are going to use standards, okay, to help us with our decision making. Next one, moving diagonally, okay, it's complicated. Predictable upfront. It is slightly more than simple, but then it is a complicated quadrant, but it can be predicted. Okay, the outcome can be determined. So decision making can be like, do you prefer orange or apple? Is it blue or black? So there is a decision making to be made, but you can, based on your liking, your experience, and so on, you can do the decision making. Slightly more difficult than 1 + 1, but not too still manageable for leaders around. Then we have the complex one, where we introduce the term complexity of VUCA. So it's about predictions are inaccurate, undeterministic outcome. Even though we are using past experience, historical information, we can't predict accurate. This is what we call a complex environment. Okay, so this is where we are currently, level 3. Now we have one which is on top, the chaotic one, where chaos is going to be around. There's no pattern recognizable. Planning is impossible. Okay, complex can be in terms of, okay, we are opening our borders today. Okay, there are some uncertainties, but as has been mentioned, it is like a decision which has been taken after they have assessed the situation. So it's complex, but it's not chaotic as such. So we are blessed in some way. If we are operating in a VUCA environment, we are still in the complex, we are not in a chaotic. So that's positive for us. Okay, we are not on the extreme side of the Stacy matrix, we are on the complex. What we are going to introduce later on, how do we go from complex? We need to pull down this complexity towards complicated, make it complicated, move from complexity and make it complicated, because we love complicated things, okay, because they are simpler to manage. Okay, and let's move to this one, the last one, which is ambiguity. So what is ambiguity? Is it a duck or a rabbit? Up to you to decide. I will leave it to you, okay, to decide. Maybe you have it overnight, and maybe by tomorrow you can give me an answer. Fight over it. So ambiguity is expression, direction, action, or intention that can be understood in two or more ways. You can have a look at it. It is a rabbit. You can have a look at this part. It is maybe a duck. So what is it all about? Okay, so this is what ambiguity means, that the direction what should take is not clear. Okay, it is not a new, it is actually a new territory that we are unfamiliar with for us, and we are most likely operating in our out of our comfort zone. Okay, so why now are we experiencing these VUCA waves? Let's call that the VUCA waves more regularly. Maybe it happened, it was introduced, VUCA, the terms date back to the year 2000s, isn't it? And then why are we like living it more frequently nowadays? So it is because we know change is the only constant. Change is the only constant. We know about this term, isn't the statement. However, the rate of change is increasing. Let's consider the Toffler curve, okay? Rate of change against time. We have it, okay, since the 1980s, the 90s, and the 80s, and so on. So the first way, which is the agricultural age, we have the industrial age, the information age. Nowadays, we are maybe the last part of the information age. The rate of change is still, it is constant. Yeah, we are experiencing change every day, but the rate of change has gone up drastically. Okay, and I think you will agree with me on this thought as least. So we are every day, like we have what we call an information overload syndrome. We have so much of information. We are flooded with information. The rapid growth of electronic communication, like social media and so on, is creating like what you call the information overload syndrome. Let's have a quick maybe statistics here. The New York Times, maybe of today or yesterday, one day, contains as much distinct information every day as the average 17th century person encountered in his own lifetime. So let's take the 17th century, one person living in this century. So the amount of information he had over his lifetime is now contained, the same amount, it is a bulk of information is contained in one issue of the New York Times, just to show you the amount of information that we have nowadays. It is said, it has been verified that 90% of all data in this world, in our world we're living today, has been generated over the last 2 years. 90% in the last 2 years only. We created like 2.5 quintillion databytes daily in 2020. So what is quintillion? For those who don't know, like me, there are 18 zeros in quintillion. So you can start counting, maybe fingers won't be enough. Okay, but now this avalanche of data continuously changing drastically, or like noise, blurring the decision-making ability of leaders. But what should leaders do in this maybe situation? Your leadership voice should be louder than the noise. This is from John C. Maxwell. Your leadership voice should be louder. You need to grow bigger. You need to grow larger. You need to become better than the noise which is being emitted by this environment that we are living in, what we call the new normal. Okay, so how? Leaders are not created in crisis situation. Every day is like crisis situation. We have deadline, things are changing, and so we have seen the environment, isn't it? But leaders are not created. It's not that, okay, I'm going to become a leader to navigate in this VUCA. Well, no, leaders are not created in a crisis situation. They are only revealed. You are already a leader. You're going to be revealed. But let's see this last part. You're going to be revealed, isn't it? However, as a leader, okay, if you feel you're a leader, you would be thriving in such situation. You would be loving such situation, crisis situation, because leaders defy the status quo. They don't like to live in status quo, isn't it? Let's take our Mauritian friends who are around, maybe others who from abroad as well. If you're going to eat a dal puri, okay, that's what we have, the common snack that we have on our streets here, you're going to add the chili, isn't it? This is what the spice, you know that is going to maybe hurt your stomach and so on afterward, but you like this spicy. This is what leaders like. They like to, it's a difficult situation. It's going to be like a bit of crisis for your digestive system, but you like it. When you're going to eat fruit pickles, okay, you will add a few of those, what we call spicy things on that as well. Okay, in football, you like when your team is winning 1-2 goals by maybe 2-0, isn't it? You like it. But what do you like more? What do you experience better? When you have what we call the remontada. Your team has been losing 3-0 at during the mid of the match. Okay, after half time, your team scores 3 goals, and then in the last minute injury time, they score the 4th goal and you win the match. You like it. This is what leaders like. They love, they thrive in such situations. This is what we are going to do today. We are going to change. We are going to introduce a mindset that we leaders are going to like, okay, to defy the status quo. We are going to thrive in this environment. Let's hear what the CEO of Microsoft has to tell us. The role of leadership today is to bring clarity in uncertain times. So it's trying to bring clarity. The more uncertain things are, the more leadership is required. So the more it is in this VUCA environment and so on, this is where the more your leadership abilities are going to grow. There is no job description for what you are facing today. There's no rules. Okay, there are no rules. Today, leaders need to thrive in the face of this uncertainty. So this is what we are made for. Leaders are made for such situation. We are not made for the routine works, okay, that everyone can do. Basically, we are made, okay, we have taken the responsibility as leaders to navigate, to help our team navigate in such situation. A real leader should be thinking, okay, or should be thriving in terms of excitement in a pandemic. It is maybe it's going to be hard, definitely. It's going to be stressful, surely. It's going to be difficult decision making. But the leaders ultimately are going to love it. They're going to love this situation. Not mostly the results, because they are going to fight to make it to ascertain that their team workers and so on, people working on them, are going to have the best of the environment to work in. But they like this difficult situation. This is what they live out for.
Santa? هلا صبر انت مخان؟ تطير كمان مش تمام
Okay, what is the idea, the lesson that we need to take from this video? Charles Darwin, I'm not a fan of Charles Darwin, by the way. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one that is more adaptable. Or adaptable, if we can look for another word about flexible to match this video. So you don't be to be the strongest one around. Good, it's good to be strong, okay? But you need to be adaptable, to be flexible. Remember the case study about the Al-Qaeda and the US Army. They need to be flexible. You have some protocols, definitely, but then you need to be able to know what is the main idea so that you can work your way around to be able to achieve the objective. So key word here for us today is about flexibility. You need to be flexible to enable change, to move towards change, to embrace change. Alvin, okay, writer and futurist, said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who can't read and write, but those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. In the picture, you can see like a photograph from a helicopter. Okay, it's like dangerous thing. Okay, he can maybe, also it's risky business, isn't it? But if he don't maybe move towards a new technology, what we have is all that's going to cost him in terms of having an aircraft, a helicopter to take him there, and the equipment that he is using to take pictures and so on. Nowadays, we can do that with a drone, isn't it? Much more even. Okay, so in terms of cost, in terms of risk and so on, so we need to learn, we have learned, okay, the usual way of doing things. You need to unlearn to look what the new technology, the disruptive technology the world is offering to us that we can relearn, else we are going to be like eradicated. We are going to be extinct from this world. Let's say driving an automatic car. I'm a fan, still a fan of what we call the manual driving in a car. However, I had to move to automatic driving. So I had to unlearn. You don't know what to do with your left foot, isn't it? Okay, when you have been driving maybe for the last 10, 15 years, the manual one, you love it, okay? And then you need to shift to automatic. It takes some time to learn. Using the parking assist, I have it in my car. I've not used it yet. I'm not too maybe trustworthy on the electronics and so on, but it is available. We need to learn it ultimately. I'm going to become what we call an illiterate of this century. Banking now. What people have been doing in the past, going to maybe my grandmother, she won't trust the ATM. She would go to the teller, physical teller in the bank. Maybe I would go to the ATM machine. What are the young doing today? They're going to use juice. I think MCB is one of our sponsors. I can mention that. So you're going to use juice, isn't it? So we need to move. We need to learn, unlearn, relearn. And what's coming after juice? We don't know. Much more interesting, maybe. Okay. So this is what we say. We need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. These are keywords that we need to. I'm just giving you the ingredients right now, the mindset that you need to adapt. And then ultimately, we're going to have the recipe later on. Next is embrace reverse mentoring. We, as maybe experienced personnel, experienced leaders, we say, okay, it's our role to mentor the youngsters. True enough, this is our role. Okay, we need to give back to the young generation, give back to society, but we need to remember the term, that the verb or the word that we heard earlier on with Al-Qaeda and so on. It's about humility. We need to be humble enough. Okay, we can't know everything. And with what we learned yesterday about BIM, okay, and we heard about IoT, big data, cryptocurrency, or just mentioned a bit, so Bitcoins and so on. So what are all these around? Can I understand all these things? So where would I understand? These are the young generation, they are going to give you. So remember, reverse mentoring is in a workplace, it's an initiative of the senior executive. It is the initiative of the senior executive or the experienced one to ask the younger generation to mentor them on these simple things, because it has changed. Even social media and so on, you need to know how to use it for your advantage. Okay, look for opportunities in these new things, disruptive technologies and so on. So we need to be humble enough to say, okay, I need most likely to be mentored by the youngsters, the generation that they're going to hit the market in a couple of years now. Okay. Next is to move the hierarchy of the organization. Here again, we go back to the Al-Qaeda story. What happened? Okay, so we saw that they had to move. It was too structured, the protocols and so on. So let's move. Let's change this hierarchy to self-organization. So delegate decision-making down to the organization where information is fresh and most salient. They are the one on ground. They are seeing the enemy. So they need to take the decision. Implement decentralized and shorter decision loop. No need, okay, I have an enemy in front of me. Do I need to kill him? Or do I need to maybe arrest him? And then they're going to ask his superior is going to ask Washington is going to ask the president, and then the decision is going to come back. But till now, this guy was already shot. Okay, so quicker decision making is so important. Encourage innovative thinking and idea diversity. Okay, to uncover novel solutions. The solutions, most of the solutions nowadays are found with the person on the shop floor, those dealing with our customers. Okay, this requires input from all functions and levels in the organization. Okay, we need to move fast and maybe now how possible? How can we, let's say, okay, how can we leave the decision making to maybe people lower? If we are considering the hierarchy, maybe lower in the hierarchy, will they be able to take a correct decision? What do we need to do to be able to achieve that? The vision must be clear. What is the mission and the vision of the company? Okay, the vision must be clear. How you achieve that, it may be given some room for maneuver by management to these employees. So vision must be clear. You need to empower your employees. So what is empowering? Democratize information. Information must be available to all people in the company. Empower employees to make decisions, make communication frictionless and regular. Okay, as you know, project managers and so on, they need to communicate 90% of the time, isn't it? Okay, this communication should be regularly. How are we feeling right now? Maybe those living in Mauritius, and I don't know about abroad, the amount of information, okay, that is being given to us by government and so on. Not criticizing, but how do you feel? Do you feel that communication should be more maybe frank, true information? Okay, so this is what we call make communication frictionless and regular. Speed up interaction. Speed matters more than perfection. What is more important about speed than perfection? Let's have a timeline. Doing nothing, you're sitting around, then doing something, and then looking for the perfection. From nothing to doing something, it is measurable. We can know, we can do it. But if we want to say, okay, well, I won't do it right now. I'll wait for it to be perfect. Then I'm going to try it. So this is an infinite distance. It's just like having a look. When we're going to reach the horizon, I'm going to take the dive. But you're never going to touch the horizon. You're never going to reach the horizon. So at times we need to say, okay, we need to take a decision. No need to remember what we have just said, the amount of information that we have nowadays that we need to consume, to digest. If we rely on all the information, digesting all that before taking a decision, it's too late. We're going to come to that later on. Okay, we have an avalanche of information, isn't it? With false changes happening and uncertainty at various levels, we have seen the curve, okay? Our skills are rapidly becoming outdated. As leaders, we need to evolve at the same pace, keep pace by scanning the marketplace for opportunities and adopt the relevant new tools or skills. I'll leave it to you. Okay, so you need to be at the forefront of technology. Not only to adopt the technology, but at least to understand what's happening. Okay, leaders, they invest lots of fund. Okay, some big companies in seeing what's happening on the market. We know about the pastel model, but we can go beyond the pastel model to scan the environment every day, every moment, on the hour, every hour. Okay, so let's see what Peter Duckworth, the founder of modern management, okay, his label as the founder of modern management. The greatest danger in times of turbulence, crisis, VUCA, is not the turbulence, it's not about the environment, is to act with yesterday's logic. We are taking our experience, which is good, okay, we are taking the historical information that we have on the internet around us and so on, and we are trying to solve the solution that we're having today. Not necessarily true. It may not work out. So we need to go beyond these maybe what we call things that we have been maybe thought about. Okay, let's move forward. To thrive in a VUCA environment, leaders must be prepared to disrupt and be disrupted. This is what I think one of our leaders yesterday talked about it, to leave your comfort zone. Disrupt and be disrupted, accept it. Okay, to be disrupted and be disruptive. This requires flexibility and ability to adapt to new circumstances. And believe me, very few companies are immune to disruption. And COVID-19 has proved that, meaning they must innovate to maintain market share. Now, in terms of flexibility, what does that mean, flexibility? It's openness to new experiences and adaptable to new processes. Okay, so in times of uncertainty and change, an ideal leadership trait is the ability to be flexible and adaptable. VUCA leadership not only like struck in there, we are going to use our common ways and so on, the common way of doing things, but we need to be able to flex, to pivot, and to be agile enough as new information is obtained to help us in our decision making. As opportunity, we are going to create opportunities. If there's no door, we need to build the door, isn't it? You know about all these things, we need to apply that nowadays. Now, as a leader, you would like to be a CEO. Who wouldn't like to be a CEO? But we're going to redefine what is meant by the CEO now. Let's have a look. We say it's Chief Executive Officer, isn't it? Now, in VUCA, to have this mindset to navigate in this VUCA, let's see. It's going to be Chief Experimenting Officer. You need to have the curiosity of the 5-year-old kid. Okay? You need to be open to trying out new methods or ideas. Understand that failure is part of the process for success. This is another topic in itself. Failure is not like the contrary, the opposite of success. No, far from that. Maybe this is what we have learned in schools and so on. But failure is part of the process for becoming successful. This is a mindset that we need to adopt. How are you in your business or in whatever you're doing? Are you risk tolerant or risk adverse? Most likely you need to have a balanced approach to risk management. You need to be open to experimentation and comfortable with uncertainty. Okay, and this we're going to see that much later on. So visioning, let me just check my time. Okay, visioning now. Remember, to be able to empower your people, you need to create a vision. You need to have a shared vision. Clearly define the core value proportion of the organization. Yes, we have mission and vision, which is on the website, which is on the catalog, the annual report. But then, do our people live this mission and vision? Define how each member of the team fits into the vision for the daily contribution. Help the team understand the bigger picture. While everything changes, the vision is going to remain constant. This is what we call the vision, direction that we are taking for the ultimate destination. The route towards this destination may be changing, but our destination remains the same. I'm going to pick up the story from yesterday's session. In 1962, President John Kennedy, okay, he visited the NASA Space Center. He wanted to he took the decision, okay, to send someone onto the moon, a person, and bringing him back safely. And 1 year later, he visited the NASA Space Center. He found a janitor cleaning around. He introduced himself. I'm President Kennedy. What are you doing? What would the janitor say? Okay, maybe he would say, I'm cleaning around. I'm just cleaning very like to the best of my abilities. No, he said, I'm helping putting a man on the moon and bring him back safely. He's part of the vision. Even the janitor indirectly contributing to sending someone on the moon. Now we need to distill that, give that to our employees, okay, our mission, so that they know exactly in which direction we're working. Then they can take the proper decision moving in the correct direction. Now, in terms of decision making, what is our attitude towards decision making? We should have an inclination for action, what we call an ability to make a decision with incomplete. We won't have complete information. It's too difficult, it's going to take too much time. Remember, speed over perfection. Okay, we need to have a bias for action, which is solution oriented. Let's say we have option A and option B. We need to decide whether we are going to go for option A or option B. The analysis that's going to take you, so you have a cost of when you're going to implement A or option B. Now, the cost involved in analyzing, getting all the information ready, put that in graphics and so on. What is the cost for, at times, not always the case. Okay, it can be that analyzing whether option A or option B is more efficient is going to cost you much more than maybe A or B, even the opportunity cost of both as well. Okay, so at times we need to take decision, bias towards decision making, action, and so on. Let's see what Mr. Tata had to say. I don't believe in taking the right decision. I take decision and then make them right. I take the decision and then I look to it. Okay, I see to it that this decision turns out to be right. Okay, is it like a great statement to make? So there's a big difference now between a wrong decision and a bad decision. There's a difference between a wrong decision and a bad decision. Let's have a look. What is the distinction? Let's say you like to eat. Maybe a wrong decision is when you base your decision making on available information. Well, this is what I have available to me today. I'm going to use this information to make a decision. Let's say when with time, when the things are going to, we're going to see a clearer picture. Maybe it was what we call a wrong decision at one point, but when I was taking the, I didn't have all the information ready. Example can be, I'm going to eat dal puri, okay, in the Bourtwist Bazaar, okay, and then ultimately I found out that I had an upset stomach. So it's the wrong decision most likely, because at that point I didn't know that I would have maybe an upset stomach. They will say, people will tell you, yes, you took the wrong decision and so on. But let's see what is a bad decision. Bad decision is it is predictable. You already know that while eating dal puri and drinking aluda in Bazaar Poli, okay, you had been hospitalized 35 times before due to the same action. But you go to Bazaar Poli and you take a dal puri with a sashimi, and then you have the aluda, you drink, and so on. And definitely, you know it's predicted. This is a bad decision as compared to a wrong decision. We didn't know the whole picture at that point. But now you know the picture, you know what are the consequences, and then you take the decision because you like that puri. Okay, so this is a bad decision. So we need as leaders to be able to know what is a bad decision and what is a wrong decision. Now, okay, our friend here, better to act on basis of an imperfect plan than too late on basis of a perfect plan. Why is CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo, the top scorer in different leagues and so many maybe records on his name? Because he scores much more goals, isn't it? But why does he score much more goals? Because he takes action. He doesn't wait for the plan to be perfect. He has an angle, he just shoots. It's not like he has much of the what we call a missed shot as well. If you see the amount of shots that he has missed in his life, definitely this is because, as we say, failure is part of success. So no need for you to wait for it to be perfect. Even a correct decision is wrong when it is taken too late. Better a good decision quickly than the best decision too late. So we need to move with our time. We need to take decision quite quickly. Now, these were the ingredients. Okay, I'm just checking my time. Okay, now we are going to see how can we use that as opportunities. Let's see. Let's like if someone is going to throw lemons at you, let's make lemonade. Okay, Albert Einstein said, in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Let's look for these opportunities in this environment. We are going to see what we are going to tame the VUCA. So when confronted with VUCA, we can either, it's up to you to decide. You out there, it's up to you to decide. Either you let the fear of the unknown drive your business strategy. You go with the flow. Remember that even dead fish goes with the flow. Or we decide to tame the VUCA. We tame the environment and hunt for opportunities that lies within these challenges. Which one would you go for? Let's see the recipe now. Instead of volatility of VUCA, we are going to counter volatility with a vision of adaptability. Okay, become adaptive in decision making, accept and embrace change, have a compelling and clear vision, communicate clearly and regularly to reduce confusion and to motivate your troops, make room for flexible goals for the team. These are what we have just seen. These were the ingredients. Now I'm putting that, okay, how we adapt that to, as when we have this volatile environment, we are going to create a vision, clear vision for people to be able to follow easily. Next is to meet uncertainty with understanding. Promote a culture of flexibility to deal with uncertain situation. Maybe just in time, if you are using just in time, maybe procurement, maybe have an inventory in place, isn't it? Build commitment and consensus of approach. Listen to everyone, so important. Listen to the opinion of the team, develop new perspective, those at the lower side of the organigram. Create a balanced approach to which all but say, okay, it's too risky for me and so on. Create this balanced approach. Remember the 5-year-old, okay, experiment a new approach to CEO. Invest in business and competitive intelligence to stay up, get all the information from the industry, from the marketplace to help you in your decision making as well. Simulate and experiment with situation and plan responses. Okay, how is it in terms of your risk? What are your risks? How tolerant are you in terms of risk? Next is react to complexity with clarity. Remember our Stacy matrix? We were on the third one. Let's bring that to complex now. It was like a complex. Let's bring that to what we call complicated. Okay, let's see. Understand the link between cause and effect. Okay, if we do that, it's because this one is going to happen. So we understand the link. At times it's hidden. Simplify processes and procedures. Encourage development and generation of ideas. Communicate clearly. I think communication is common denominator, all of these. Okay, communicate, communicate, communicate. And develop teams and promote collaboration. You should have a multi-talented team as well, who can, like, you can move around. You can choose maybe lateral movement, horizontal movement as well. Your team is like functional. Even though some are working at home, some are working maybe from the office, they can do the job. Okay, like a flexible team. Next is fight ambiguity with agility. Okay, communicate clearly with clarity. Communication again. Seek out and uncover alternative viewpoints. Listen to divergent ideas and concepts. Promote flexibility, agility, and so on. Okay, plan ahead, build a contingency time, all the things that you need to have to your advantage. And this is what we call job rotation, about the cross training to improve team agility. And again, team consensus, foster this environment. Look about to create such a conducive environment for team to become team members. If you abide to all these, you are going to tame the VUCA. Okay, the VUCA is going to become your friend. Okay, you can play around with that. You can use that for your opportunities. Remember, you have this team VUCA by your side now, and just remember how are you going to like excel in this what we call the VUCA environment. So with this said, this is what I had to do to give you in terms of the mindset. So I have given you lots of maybe keywords for you to work on. So I believe that you have noted these down. And if you still need some information, you can ask a few questions, hopefully simple one. And else you can reach me out. I will be so happy to network with you later on. And that was it for me. Thank you for this opportunity. I hope I've been on time. And I'm going to take up a few of your questions now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Dr. Ismail. That was a quite good session with quite some insights and some really nice stories. So yeah, one question from our audience is what is the key skill, let's say the most important skill for a project manager in this evolving world?
Okay, so you have a lot, it's a very good question. You have a lot of skills which have been described. I would say personally, it's going to be the humility to accept it. Because at times we say, okay, we have been working 30 years in this environment and so on, but let's become humble and say, I still have to learn. Okay, because while you're going to adopt this mentality, okay, we are going to say, okay, let's go for peer mentoring. This is what we call a reverse mentoring and so on. We are going to learn new things, because the new thing that we are seeing around today were not present 5 years back and so on. Okay, the new technologies and so on. So for me, it's going to be about this mentality of having some humility.
All right, that's great. And your last slide was quite interesting with the guy walking with the lion. So how do you see the fear of change, and how do you embrace what's your advice for people in terms of fear of change and fear of really touching that lion?
Actually, actually, we need to go beyond fear. Okay, I think fear is we need to have a different perspective. Let's have a look at the bigger picture. What will I achieve after being able to, let's put that, if we do NLP, a bit of NLP, let's go into a state where we have gone over the fear. How would I be feeling? Okay, maybe I'm planning next to go to jump, I think a tandem dive from the airplane and so on. So how would I be feeling when I've completed this experience? So we go into how would I feel here, maybe feel, okay, the excitement in me. So then we say, okay, is it like, can I really do that? Then we work on some step. What do I need to do to achieve this? And so we have the final picture in our mind, and we can see, hear, feel different things, like maybe kinesthetic as well. How would I be feeling when I've been maybe gone down? Maybe how would I be feeling when touching the lion and so on? So you can see it's about how put it in a futuristic approach, a state. You have completed that. How would you be feeling? And then you say, okay, can I really do that? Then you work. If this excitement is maybe on a 10, it's going to help you go above your fear.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ismail. That was a really nice session, and I'm sure our audience thoroughly enjoyed your precious advice. And yeah, thank you. A last word from you.
For me, it's okay. It was a pleasure having you, and I've been listening since yesterday. Lots of takeaways, lots of valuable gold nuggets that you have been sharing. And thank you for organizing that. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the organizing team. Wonderful job, and look forward for the next one as well. Thank you.